Hello, welcome back. My name is Freddie, and welcome to another lesson on programming in C++. Okay, today the concept we're going to go over is arrays. Okay, so arrays are basically when you want to declare a number of variables. So if you want to declare a lot of variables, but you don't want to keep writing them out, So say I want to declare a variable of data type double. So I'd say variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, and so on and so on. Let's say I wanted like 20 variables. Of course, typing out 20 variables is going to take up a lot of space, and it's going to take you a long time. So what you could do is just declare the one variable and just declare the variable name and how many variables you want. And that's what we're doing with arrays. So with arrays, I type variable and then however many variables I wanted. So let's say 20. Okay. So now this array means I've now declared 20 variables instead of having to type them all out separately. Okay. And also with this now, that means later on in the program, I can refer to each of the variables separately. And since I have 20, it would go from 0 to 19 rather than 1 to 20, if you understand what I mean. So I declared 20 variables. The first variable would be variable 0, and then the last one would be variable 19. So if I wanted to refer to one, I could say variable, I also have to use the array sign again, variable 4. And now I can initialize it to equal 20.2. Such, okay? And you don't need to, and you might ask, you haven't declared this variable yet. I have, because it's included as part of this, okay? So I've already declared it within this array. So I have an array of 20 variables numbering from 0 to 19, and 4 is between 0 and 19, so it is included in this array, okay? So I could refer to variable 4, variable 16, I could say that equals variable 5, and then I can also say variable 8, so that's equal to variable 4 variable 4 divided by 2. Okay, so after I've declared the variables, well, using the array, I can then refer to each of them separately. Okay, always remember the variable, this is the number of variables I have. The variables numbers will go from 0 to, say this is n, okay. The variables will then be from 0 to n minus 1. That's the best way to remember it. So in your last variable you have, this number will be n minus 1. So whatever you have in here, minus 1. Okay. And also, you can also do let's say I have 5 now. What I can do here is I can initialize all of the variables within this array straight away. So sometimes I can set a value for each of the variables. That's what initialize is. So initialize this sign, the equal sign, means I'm initializing, so I'm setting a value for the variable. So what I can do is I can say, so the first one will be, let's say 0.8. Next one I shall say 1.2. Then how about 2.6, 3.3, and 4.7. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables. Okay, so this would be variable 0, variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, and variable 4. Okay, so I've initialized all the variables within the array. And what should I do with them now? Okay, we could use the for loop here. So for, set a condition for it. So I'll say int I is equal to 0. And say I is less than 5. We can add 1 to I. Okay, so then to see out variable I. And I want a space in between each of them. And here is the program. Okay, so what this should do now is it should print each of the variables. Okay, so what this means, so I have said for I, when I is equal to 0, okay, and for when I is less than 5, we shall add 1 to 5, 1 to I. Okay, and I want to output variable I. Okay, so the first one, it will output variable 0, and we'll also know that the value for variable 0 is 0.8 because we've initialized it. So then it should output 0.8 and then add 1, so variable 2 or variable 1 is 1.2, so it should output 1.2 and then add another one, so it'll be variable 2 and it should print 2.6 and so on up to we get variable 4, which will be 4.7, and it should print those off. Okay, so let's build it. Okay, so I have an error. Okay, so see here, I should have had the semicolon. Remember, semicolon always. Okay, now we have no errors. So remember the importance of double checking everything you've done before you build or during a program, because you could write a whole, like a lot of code, and then you build it and find you have a number of errors, and then you don't know where the errors are. And it could be just little things like this, because it's literally one piece that's missing, and that will ruin everything. Okay, so always make sure you double check all your work. So I've already built it, so let's build and run and see we have here is printed off the values for my array of variables. Okay, and that is how arrays work. Okay, so arrays are just a really good way of declaring a number of variables and initializing those variables. Okay, so I hope you've learned a lot, and looking forward to seeing you again.